The soldiers who arrested Jesus brought him to the Pharisees and Sadducees. "You think you are equal to God?" they asked him. But Jesus wouldn't say anything. The Pharisees didn't care if he answered or not. "Guilty!" they shouted. "He is guilty of blasphemy." And the penalty for blasphemy, for saying you are equal to God? Death. There was a problem, though. Even if the Pharisees and Sadducees said Jesus was guilty, they weren't allowed to kill anyone. Only the Romans could do that, so they dragged Jesus to the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate looked at Jesus and asked, "What have you done that has made everyone so angry?" But still, Jesus wouldn't say anything. "I don't see anything wrong with this man," Pilate said to the Pharisees and Sadducees. But they all yelled back, "According to our rules, he needs to die." Pilate didn't know what to do. He didn't think Jesus deserved to die, but he didn't want the Pharisees and Sadducees to complain about him to the other Roman leaders. Staying out of trouble was the best way to keep your job as a Roman governor. Maybe the troublemaker had to go. So Pilate gave in. He washed his hands in front of the crowd, which was a way of saying, "This isn't my fault." Then he had Jesus killed on a wooden cross. As Jesus was dying, he looked up to heaven and said, "Father, forgive them. They don't know what they are doing." Even at that moment, Jesus was forgiving. Even at that moment, he was loving. The sky turned dark. Jesus died. Then the ground began to shake. A Roman guard standing near Jesus saw everything that happened and said, "This man must have been the Son of God." But it was too late. Jesus was dead. Jesus' friends didn't know what to think. How could Jesus be the Messiah, the blessing for the whole world, if he wasn't even alive? Jesus had done some amazing things while he was living. He'd shown everyone what God the Father was like. Incredibly loving, incredibly good, incredibly powerful. The life of Jesus had taught people who God is. Jesus had also announced the kingdom of God. Before Adam and Eve sinned, they lived with God, the way things were supposed to be. There was no sickness, no hunger, no hurting, and no death. Jesus had said the kingdom of God was back. He'd given everyone a taste of that kingdom through his miracles. Jesus showed us that in the kingdom of God, there is nothing to be afraid of, not even death. Jesus also explained that the kingdom was starting small, like a seed. Jesus' miracles were like tiny green shoots from a seed, poking up through the soil. Those shoots would grow bigger and bigger until finally the day would come when Jesus is king, and the kingdom of God would be everywhere. When the whole world would be made new again, the way God always wanted it to be. But what about sin? What about the selfish and mean things we do that keep us far from God? Did Jesus do anything about that? He sure did. As Jesus was dying on the cross, God saw all of the bad things we've ever done, the stain of our sin, appear on Jesus. Jesus became dirty with all of that sin so that we would have a chance to be clean, so that we could be with God again. Jesus died so we wouldn't have to. Jesus died so we could live with God in a world without sin, without sickness, without death. A world where Jesus is king. You're probably asking, if Jesus died, how can he be king? That's a good question, with an even better answer, because Jesus didn't stay dead.